Okay, so today we're going to talk about stretching, and it can be done as a standalone. The idea isn't that new. If you have a look at yoga, it's where most of the modern sort of ideas of stretching and stretching routines come from. Stretching has two main forms. It has static stretching and dynamic stretching. So a static stretch would be something along the lines of here. I've stretched up as far as I can go and I'm holding that position for a count of 5, 10, 15, 20. Sometimes you have stretches that will last 5 seconds. Sometimes you can do what they call a deep stretch, which would last for anywhere up to 3 minutes. Not necessarily with your hands up in the air, but some of the other stretches which are more comfortable to hold. So a dynamic stretch tends to work over sort of 8 to 12 movements. So the movement would come up and gently release. And the next one will go a little bit higher and gently release. And a little bit higher and gently release. And so on until you reach between 8 and 12 repetitions. You stop when you feel that you can't go any further with the movement. Each repetition should take you a little bit further. So in a sense, dynamic stretching is in between the idea of mobilisation and static stretching. It's something unique that sits in between the two. With dynamic stretching, I tend to align the breathing. So I would breathe out and get my breath back as I come back down and breathe out and back down again. So what we're going to do is have a look at the way the body works, built off what we did with the mobilisation, using the same sort of structure, and see what can be stretched. So if we start with the neck, you can bring it to one side and you can bring it to the other. And that can be done dynamically or statically. Looking down works really well as a static stretch. Looking up can be problematic if you have any sort of dizziness or disc problems in the back of the neck. Normally down is fine though. Looking down around the corner, you feel a stretch back here somewhere. And down around the corner, stretch back here somewhere. Up. Stretch here, and up, stretch here. If we go into the arms, we already had the sort of a basic sort of first stretches are stretch up, elongating the spine. You can bring your hand over and stretch out the back of your arm and over. Then we've got a shoulder stretch, so variations on the theme, hand position, hand with the thumb up or to the side, whatever feels comfortable to you. Hand around and up the back and held, so again you'll get a stretch into the shoulder here. Round and up the back. Stretch open, opening the chest. Okay, we're going to come down, so I'm going to pop the legs out a little bit. So I can take this in two ways. I can stay with a nice arch back and push my chest out with the feet straight and get a stretch onto the hamstrings, the muscles at the back of the leg, or I can allow myself to collapse forward a little bit and get a stretch on the hamstrings and the lower back. Coming on up. If I pop myself forward a little bit, pop my legs out, sit into the middle, I'll get a stretch here on the inside of the thighs. If your hip is good and you haven't got a knee replacement, you can bring your leg up and sit forward, stretch out your backside. I wouldn't recommend it if you do have a hip or knee replacement, or sometimes if you've had cartilage operations it can be a little bit uncomfortable. I had this cartilage done a few years ago and I can do it on that side sitting quite easily. I can't do it sitting on the floor doing it. The rotation of the spine where I come round and bring the neck into it. Pull on the chair if you have arms of the chair, or pull on your leg if you don't. Rotation round the other way. Drop down to one side. Drop down to the other side. Foot out. So I'm going to bring myself back into the chair a wee bit. I can pull the foot up to get a stretch on the calf muscle at the back here. So that's the sort of stretching 101. If you can, try and link the breathing to the movements. So as I was going to come here, I'd breathe out. As I run out of breath, I'd release it back. Go on, maybe there's a stretch on the other side. If I want to do more of a dynamic thing, I breathe out and release, breathing in and breathe out and release. If you've got lung problems and you time your breathing in with it, with the stretching movements, they will become almost like an aerobic workout for you. If you do the stretches for a shorter period, maybe 2 to 5 seconds, but a quick turnover, they also become like a little mini circuit training session. So I've started with the seated versions because they're probably the safest to do if you've got any balance or coordination problems. On the next video I'm going to have a look at some sort of standing variations. Hopefully that's enough for you for today, but we'll have another look at